What do you need to know to get off the trail and do some real winter wilderness exploration? Most videos stop at pretty basic things like putting on your snowshoes or getting up after falling. I'd suggest doing whatever it takes. I'm not trying to sell you anything, I just wanted to share with you some tricks that I've learned after more than 20 years of exploring the Colorado mountains on snowshoes. So here are 10 insider tricks to moving through the winter wilderness, staying safe, and having fun.
Woo! The purpose of snowshoes is to save energy. And when you're post-holing through really deep snow, obviously that's going to take up a lot more energy, and that's when you want to use snowshoes. In the case of this trail, it's been skied on, walked on, snowshoed on a lot, and it's pretty firm. And so I really don't need snowshoes on this. And if I had them on, I'd have to weigh my energy usage. One of the nice things about these plastic MSR snowshoes is when you come to rocks like this, and a lot of times it's unavoidable, you don't have to worry about the the fabric or the vinyl on some of the other soft snowshoes from getting torn. So it's nice to have something that you don't mind beating up, and that's what these MSR hard shell snowshoes are great for. So this is kind of in the summertime, this would be a wetland. It's got a lot of these willows and small crummulch trees. And you'd think that with all of these bushes kind of sticking out, that the snow wouldn't be very deep, but that's not true. You've got the willows, which hold snow, and these low trees. And you can see my trekking pole, if I start putting it down here in the snow, it goes all the way up to the handle, and I can't keep going any further. So that would be snow up to my waist. So at this point, I'd be pretty much done with hiking. So one of the things that is helpful with snowshoeing and just traveling in the winter is when you can find a stream or a creek bed that you can follow. So I've been following this one up to here, and it kind of gives you a trail that you don't have to worry about so much down timber and all that kind of thing, and you know where you are. You do have to watch out because creeks are moving water, and moving water doesn't freeze, so you never know when you may just find a hole kind of like that one, and that could be directly under you and you wouldn't know it until you fall through. So I tend to be pretty careful following creeks and make sure that I'm staying on the edges as much as possible, and not necessarily where it's down in the bottom. It looks smooth, looks real easy, but that's also where the water could be. So again, the whole point of snowshoes is to save energy. So when you get to a section that's relatively steep and deep powder, you don't want to move very fast. The idea is to find a pace that you can maintain for the long haul. Right now, I feel like I'm moving pretty good. And you can see like every single step I take actually has just a bit of a pause. And that's going to keep my energy up. And I'm just going to burn through the miles by keeping a pace like this. So one of the biggest challenges with landscape photography is working your way through the snow. And I'd like to show you a couple of the techniques that I use. First of all, with my snowshoes, it's got a little lever there that'll click up and allow you to not have your ankles angled so severely when you're on a really steep slope like I'm on here. And so that's one thing that you can do. Another thing I like, I've got a basket on this this trekking pole, which keeps it from going down very deep. But a lot of times on crusty snow, that will it doesn't give you any purchase. And so I've got this pole really short right now, And then this pole doesn't have a basket, and it's really long, which allows me to really get good purchase on these steep slopes like I'm on right now. So the combination of having the my foot a little more horizontal, and then using the poles in 2 different ways. See, I can actually use this almost like an ice axe and pull myself up with it. And that allows you to move up some pretty steep slopes. So I already showed you a technique that you can use when you're going up really steep terrain with snowshoes on. And here I'd like to show you a technique that you can use when you're going down a slope. A slope like this is really easy to end up just kind of skiing down. There's powder on the top and it's pretty crusty underneath. And you're gonna kind of go out of control when you go down straight down this slope with snowshoes on. And so the technique that I use is to go backward.
Sorry, my GoPro audio cut out here. The idea of moving backward downslope is similar to down climbing a rock face. By facing in toward the slope, you can be in more control. Your snowshoes won't turn into skis, and if you do slip, you will fall forward onto your hands or stomach, which is much easier to recover from. The trick is to look through your legs and keep the tails of your snowshoes up. If it's a pretty steep section, this isn't too hard.
Here's another section where going backwards is a really good idea. This is straight up ice right here, and I've got a lot of grip on my snowshoes. But if I were to try to go across this going forwards, if I fell, it'd be a lot more dangerous. But being backwards, if I fall, I'll just fall onto my stomach. No big deal. Kind of facing the slope on these steep sections. There's some more ice. It's facing the slope. So here's another great thing to understand about snowshoeing. When you come across a log like this that you've got to get across with snowshoes, that can be a real challenge. And just a quick technique on how to do that, you definitely don't want to try to step over this or just around it. You've got to go right on top of it. So you try to get rid of as much of that snow as you possibly can, and then get your center of gravity on the far side of the log like this, and then use your trekking poles to kind of push your weight up over your foot, and then you can push off your back leg there and be able to step down over the top of that log. And logs can really be a tripping hazard with snowshoes, so it's always better to go on top of a log than it is to try to step over it. And then you come into areas like this, which are just really not a whole lot of fun. Well, maybe they are a lot of fun, I'm not really sure. But you want to use your trekking poles, whatever you can hold on to.
Knowing how to snowshoe safely can open up the wilderness to you. It will allow you to move faster, conserve energy, explore more territory, and even have more fun in the winter wilderness. Get out more, play hard, and be safe.